So the Secretary of State from Maine has voted unilaterally to remove Donald Trump from the ballots. She claims that she is duty bound to do so based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It states public officials who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. may be disqualified from public office. The problem with that is Trump has not been found guilty in any court of law for engaging in insurrection. Well, other than the court of public opinion. Craziest thing is, not only is she getting pushback from the Republicans, but also from the Democrats. She based her rulings on a lot of documents, but also YouTube clips, news reports, things that would never pass the bar in a normal court. She's not a lawyer, by the way. Let's see what she says about it.
In your decision, you argue that Donald Trump engaged in insurrection. You did hold a public hearing ahead of the decision. It's interesting to note, Democratic Congressman from Maine, Jared Golden, said in a statement in response to this decision, quote, until he's actually found guilty of the crime of insurrection, he should be allowed on the ballot. Did that consideration weigh on your decision or give you any pause?
I reviewed Section 3 of the 14th Amendment very carefully and determined that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment does not say conviction, it says engage. And let's go back and keep in mind that the events of January 6, 2021 were unprecedented and tragic. This was an attack not only on the Capitol and the government officials, the former vice president, members of Congress, but an attack on the rule of law. And the weight of evidence that I reviewed indicated that it was in fact an insurrection, and Mr. Trump engaged in that insurrection under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
We are waiting to see if the Supreme Court will in fact take up this Colorado case. I know you mentioned the Colorado case in your decision. When you look at where things stand, there is a question, our own senior legal analyst bringing this up. He doesn't believe that if the Supreme Court takes this up, that they will in fact rule on what engaging in an insurrection means, whether there needs to be criminality with it. If they do not, are you concerned about the fallout?
I will always implement what the court decides. And this type of proceeding is not unusual as part of my duties in Maine under Maine election law. In 2022, for example, I held a similar hearing on the qualifications of a district attorney candidate, found him unqualified. That was appealed. The court upheld my ruling. I mentioned Mr. Chris Christie just last week, a Superior Court finding that I had made the right decision in barring him from the ballot under Maine law. But I will always uphold what the court does, and it's part of the job of being Secretary of State. Should the U.S. Supreme Court rule that Mr. Trump be on the ballot, I will in fact place him on the ballot. It's part of why I suspended the effect of my decision until the courts can act. So no ballots are being printed until that Superior Court decision or Supreme Court decision might come down, although we're looking at a very tight time frame.
I've said this a few times now. Keep going. You are doing Donald Trump a favor. His popularity isn't waning, it's going up. The more you interfere with this election, the more you show your hand. But, of course, MAGA supporters are the fascists, right? Trump 2024.